watchers, welcome back to the channel. Today I am featuring another piece from Spinnaker. So Spinnaker watchers sent me this a while back, but they actually didn't decide to kickstart this. They just kind of released it onto the website for retail. So let's just get into it and show you this particular watch. So if you haven't seen Spinnaker watches before, they come in this typical blue box, just a basic tag and microfiber for cleaning the watch. Okay, so just put that aside and show you the watch here. So guys, this is the Spinnaker Spence Revise. So they have a couple of older versions of this watch still on the website. I reviewed the second version some time back, the previous version at least, but they have also released this, I guess an updated or revision of the previous Spence model. So here is the SP-5066-04 model, 04 being this color variation with black PVD case and rose gold highlights. The MSRP of this watch listed right now is 300 USD, but of course discount codes that I have down below. I will put all links to relevant site and products below in the description, so check it out if you will. The movement in here is like many other Spinnakers these days actually. These days they have been going a lot towards the NH35, so specs down the left here. Not going to read all that out. In this case it does implement a quick set date on the 3 o'clock window that you can see there. In this case it's framed by a rose gold tinted rectangle, which is a nice little touch here. The rated accuracy you can see I've detailed on the left in use. This one actually has been pretty darn good. It's actually performing about plus 4 seconds per day, and I have to say their regulations that have been coming through on their watches have been improving, and I'll give them credit. I like to think that they have actually put in more effort into the regulation of these movements. That's why this has been improving, and plus 4 a day is actually very, very good. Okay, so that's the movement. Now let's move on to the case here. The case here is 42 millimeters in 316L steel, but in this case, of course, as mentioned, it is in a black PVD. Now thickness here is 14 millimeters, so there's a little bit of chunkiness to this watch. The lug width here is 22 millimeters, okay, which is kind of appropriate, with the lug-to-lug distance, as before, is 47 millimeters. So all those measurements are actually identical to the previous Spinnaker Spence model, which I have reviewed. The overall weight of this watch on the leather strap is only 95 grams, so it is actually not very heavy at all, and very comfortable at that weight. Alright, finishing wise, as I've panned it around, you will have noticed that this is black PVD and it is completely in a matte finishing. There's no discernible brushing that I can see on the surface. It is actually just a matte black PVD. So if you like that type of finishing, this is actually pretty well done. They do kind of do their finishing in in a pretty high level for the price that they charge. I think that's something that's been consistent with Spinnaker. The screw-in display case back, of course, they do always do a display case back these days. In this case, it is actually also a matte finishing, so matte, almost a bead blasted type of stainless steel with a mineral glass display window showing that Seiko movement, as well as that kind of a basically decorated Spinnaker rotor that you can see in there. With that screw-in display case back and PVD kind of etched, you can see a bit of etching there on the crown there. The water rating on this watch is 200 meters, so kind of typical dive rating that they do go for on the Spinnaker case watches. All right, that's this case. Now let's describe the dial or explore the dial here. So in this case, it is actually this sandpaper textured black dial. It is a printed chapter ring around the outside there, with applied numeral indices. So the number indices applied. It's very difficult for me to show, I think. Hopefully you can see that it is actually raised numerals above the marker there. They're not printed, they're actually applied numbers. The Spinnaker and the automatic above the 6 is more a printed type of finishing here. All right, the hands in this case are the the very famous, I guess, Mercedes handset with the lollipop seconds there, none other than just the standard Mercedes hands. In this case, it actually is rose gold tinted, and lume are on the 3 hands as well as the indices. And also the 12 kind of rectangle shapes around the chapter ring, and also a full lume on the bezel, lume shot right here for you to see how it looks like in the dark, of course. Surrounding the dial there is a 120 click unidirectional bezel, so you've already seen it. It's actually this kind of, well, I guess it's not really a coinage, but similar to that. It's kind of this grip here in rose gold around the outside, with a metal insert that is black PVD, and as you've seen in the picture earlier, it's full lume. Let you hear how it sounds. Right? Not too tight, it's actually relatively loose, but you can't just flick it and turn it. You do have to kind of just deliberately grab it and turn it. Okay, so that's how it sounds like. A little bit of black play, nothing, not super tight in terms of the finishing here, but it's all right, typical for Spinnaker watches here. On top of the dial is a flat mineral crystal, so it's not sapphire in this case, it's actually mineral glass here. Alright, that's the description of the case. Now moving on to the band. Here is a very basic waterproof, black leather backed kind of this brown leather strap. Very basic and nothing much to write home about, but at least it does have a matching black PVD buckle with Spinnaker branding on the buckle there. Hopefully you can see that. Now, I always criticize the straps that they come with. I gotta say that this is slightly improved, and hopefully they will continue to improve in the feeling of the strap here. So this one is more supple than it typically is from Spinnaker. All right, let's just put it on for the wrist shot for you guys now. And there we have it, the Spinnaker Spence revised, so the SP-5066 model on my 17cm wrist. As you can see, it's kind of okay, at this lug-to-lug distance of 47mm for my wrist, and that's how it looks like on there, and 14mm high, just remember that. Okay, so that's the entire description of the watch done. So guys, what do I think are the good points about this watch? Look, I think it's another kind of neat design from Spinnaker. It's a neat twist on the Spence line, so with the black PVD on the case as well as the bezel, and with that black dial, it's kind of got this a little bit of a Black Ops look, but certainly not their most Black Ops watch that I've had. This is kind of more like a black gold type of design, which some people really like. This rose gold highlights. It does pleasantly offset the black, including the handset as well as the Spinnaker logo on the dial there. And it does have the usual dial functionality, full lume on the bezel, on the dial and hands, as well as a 120 click unidirectional bezel, and full 200-meter water resistant. You can easily use this for swimming / scuba diving. I think that's what they go for in the Spinnaker range. The things that I would point out as things to note, and maybe slight weaknesses, well, the value proposition of a $300 watch without sapphire or ceramic or a metal bracelet, that is going to raise questions for some people. You can get watches with those features, any of those 3 features at the same price range, so perhaps this doesn't have the best value proposition here. I will say overall, it is also a pretty generic design, pretty generic hands, generic kind of oyster style case, if you will. So there's nothing very outstanding about this design. None of it is, quirky. It's actually a fairly stock standard watch, apart from the color scheme. So if you like this particular look with the color scheme, maybe this is a watch that you might go for. But if you like something different, a little bit quirky, this probably isn't the watch that will fulfill those requirements for you. It's not exactly the most novel design here. And then lastly, I will say also the strap, whilst it is still average and I would say nothing to write home about, at least they are starting to make some improvements, and I look forward to what they come up with in future. So guys, there we have it. My review of this watch, the Spinnaker Spence Revised. Let me know your thoughts about this model. Spinnaker Spence models, if you own them, or the brand in general. Would love to hear what you think. Guys, if you enjoy my videos, do consider subscribing. New content every week, always aiming to be objective and unbiased about all things horology. Thank you again for sticking with me, and as always, I'll catch you guys next time.